Well,
Very well, man. How are you?
I'm not bad, thank you. As we've been saying before, we've talked about this for a long time, but this is our first attempt of the total non-stop bull podcast. So, anyway, we're around Rumble time currently, and recently things haven't been that great, in the world. So hopefully, and this is a big hope here, that WWE can actually provide some kind of magic. They've had quite a lot of ups and downs recently.
Yeah, definitely. They're they're the best way I could say is super inconsistent is probably the nicest way I could say about their product.
Yeah, man. Well, I was actually reading the at the end of it, and it goes that you can challenge any champion at the end, and obviously if you win it, you're gonna go for the big title. But I'm surprised they haven't done something goofy yet, where they get someone challenging for the 24/7 championship or something. I wouldn't put it past.
Oh, that would be amazing. I hope R-Truth wins the Rumble now.
He wins the Royal Rumble and then challenges for the
himself.
God, I can imagine that right now.
I can't. Oh, now I want it to happen more than anything. I might have to change my whole predictions on the whole show.
Well, we was talking previously about the Rumble and how much you rate it. I mean, it's a big statement, but you said you think it's bigger than Well, not necessarily bigger than WrestleMania, but it's your favorite.
Personally, it is my favorite match type, my favorite pay-per-view of any wrestling company all over the world. It's better, in my opinion. It's better than WrestleMania, better than Wrestle Kingdom, better than anything that anybody can produce. It's such a perfect match for literally anything to happen. And over the years, I've had some amazing memories of just watching my favorite wrestlers go at it, and for the chance to main event the biggest show of the year. I mean, I can't think of anything more important and more exciting in the world of professional wrestling, to be honest with you.
I don't know if anyone else does anything even close to like this, do they?
No, I think AEW is trying with their Casino Battle Royale. But even then, nothing can ever compare to the Royal Rumble. It is the perfect match for any fan of any generation, because it's one of the original pay-per-views. I think it's the third. No. Yes, it's the third oldest pay-per-view, I believe, next to Survivor Series and WrestleMania.
Well, you must be right, because I can remember the original Rumbles was they didn't even have anything, did they?
No, I believe they were just a house show back in the early 80s.
Nothing is better than In Your House, anyway. That's the best pay-per-view of all time.
Oh, man, so many good pay-per-views. Just the set alone is that's great.
They had the game as well. I can't remember it offhand. And I mean, games as well, for the WWE. That's a whole different...
That's a whole different conversation, which...
They're so poor at the moment, compared to the interactions you need to get before. But again, you remember things differently. When you're an adult to when you were as a kid, I
correct.
I thought the invasion angle was amazing when I was a kid, and then as I've grown up, I'm like, oh no, it's trash.
Because I've thought the exact same thing too when I was a child once when the invasion angle started, and I still remember actually the day when I remember turning on Nitro and seeing Vince McMahon. And I'm like, did I turn on the wrong channel? And then I switch over to the USA Network, and it's the same thing. And I'm going back and forth in just sheer amazement. it took me a few minutes to realize what was going on, and then once I realized what was going on, I was like, "Oh, this is huge. This is ginormous," and it's literally happening a week before WrestleMania 17.
Even the lowest ratings, then they would kill for them today.
Oh my goodness! I think I actually just seen an article a few days ago. I can't give you an exact idea where or who wrote it, but they're reaching level numbers for today for what the end of Nitro was doing, and that is terrible. I think they're getting like low million, like maybe like 1.1 million viewers today.
Yeah, trash. Well, if you've seen the product though, right? I mean, I know there were storylines before, but everyone had something to do. Everyone had something to do, you know?
Yes, that was the biggest thing that in the Attitude Era, like everybody from the lower card guy to the mid card to the main event all seemed very important.
Exactly.
And must watch. Nowadays, you got what? 6 wrestlers that they push heavily, and everybody else is just there.
Well, it's same. It's just, I think the biggest thing that WWEF, miss is heavy competition, because it's made them so lazy.
Yeah,
the whole, and the thing is as well is that they keep making money. So because they keep making money, they think
they're going to keep doing the same thing over and over until they don't make money. And I think this year, or 2020, was like one of their most profitable years of all time, and that's just amazing to me.
I think they've just sold the network in the USA, because I'm based in the UK. It doesn't change, I don't believe, the network here.
No, from what I have read, that Vince McMahon sold the network to a streaming service in the US called Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what's going to happen is, I believe it's supposed to take place either at the end of February or the beginning of March. Anyone who's a WWE Network subscriber in the United States will be transferred over to their Peacock's premium package.
For half the price as well.
For half the price. And I still think even though you're paying half the price, you're still getting like ads and whatnot. But for me, if I'm going to pay half the price to get the exact same thing, but I have to watch a minute or two of ads, so be it. I accept that, I
think they've done that as well to try to get some new eyes on the product. But
I believe that they have over 22 million subscribers on Peacock, and WWE has 1.4 million subscribers.
Is that worldwide?
So that's
just in the US. Is that worldwide?
For the WWE Network subscribers? I believe that is worldwide.
I could credit, but I don't know what figure I thought it would be, but I thought it'd be a lot higher than that.
I could be wrong too, but all I know is it's a much bigger. Peacock is a much bigger platform, and a lot more eyes can get on the product of WWE for today's product, and obviously through everything that they've ever did in the past.
I mean, I know that the numbers are ridiculously low as well, but I think it's just viewership's changing as well. But also, that's also a massive cop out. When I see that, numbers are 1 million, and it's not just because people are watching differently, and watching highlights, say on YouTube, for instance. They've lost you can't lose 5-6 million people in ratings, can you?
Yeah, that seems more of like a. People could say, they can. A lot of people have found different things to watch. There's so many other options, but my argument is you need to evolve the product to keep those people with you for all these years.
Yeah.
So I understand that there's so many more options today than there was 15, 20 years ago, even, but you gotta keep the product fresh and good for you can't have certain things that are good for a 2-week span and then for the next 8 weeks be mediocre to poor. You know what I mean?
I tell you something. I didn't watch any wrestling for 6 weeks, and I come back, and it was still Baron Corbin versus Mysterios.
Yeah, it's
the same matches over and over and over again.
Like, I love Rey Mysterio and I love Seth Rollins, but I really don't want to watch them every week for 15 weeks in a row.
Well,
like that seems just a little outrageous.
So I think what we can do in a short version is we've talked about the Rumble. So I think we can discuss in regard of how to save it. Just quickly, just a quick half-hour discussion. I'm trying to do it. So, I mean, how many matches do you think a card should have?
A Royal Rumble card or just a normal, Raw or SmackDown
card?
Now that with there being a women's Rumble, I really don't anticipate there to be too many matches. I would think that there's probably 5 or 6 matches tops.
Good point.
And that's including both Rumbles.
Yeah. Did you watch the last time they did a women's pay-per-view only?
The Evolution pay-per-view. Yes, I did. That was a very, very, very good show, and I remember watching it when it came out live, and man, the women put on an amazing show.
They did, and I just thought, isn't it amazing what happens when you get new ideas? When you need a full card. It's
amazing what you could do. It's like you can actually put on a good show.
All I see again is R-Truth every week. People going, "How funny he is." He is funny, but
and R-Truth is somebody that I feel like is the perfect sports entertainer.
Yeah.
Now, if you're somebody who has watched him throughout his career early in TNA, you could see that man is a top-notch professional wrestler as well. But he understands the concept of being a character, and especially in WWE, that he's all right being the comedy guy who's the 50-time 24/7 champion. And we need
the record, isn't he? For like most titles.
I actually don't even think so, because I believe that there was when the hardcore title, when the hardcore title was a thing back in the 90s, I think, I don't know the exact number, but I think Raven had an absurd amount of hardcore title reigns, and I think he still might be ahead of most title reigns over R-Truth.
I don't know how long they're going to keep. I don't think they'll keep up for much longer. But
the thing is, there's the 24/7 title. I think could be gold.
It really could. If it was booked right, man.
Correct, and it's so sad and it's so discouraging, because somebody like myself, who's a giant R-Truth fan, man, he could do so many different things, and there was so much promised to him from the start. I'm like, and it's just been so disappointing to see how that has been a part of Monday Night Raw, and it's barely amount to anything. Well,
I've seen that. I had a little idea for saving the 24/7 championship, right?
Let's hear it.
We were talking about this before in regard to we were talking about how R-Truth come out, and everyone should know the story by now about Truth trying to make Lesnar laugh, with Paul Heyman.
Yes.
Did all that. And afterwards, Lesnar went to the back and he said, I want to work with Truth. I think that'd be a great idea. So.
Oh yeah, and I think that would have been phenomenal, because.
Can you imagine if Lesnar won the 24/7 championship?
Oh My goodness.
Truth going around to his house, trying to get it back. And, this is Lesnar as well, who only, as well, you need to take that title off. I know it's 24/7, but if that title's there every single week, just doing little silly run-ins, no one's going to take it seriously. And,
right.
And if you had someone like Lesnar there with Truth, taking him off, it'd be fantastic. You can just imagine it.
And there's so many other storylines you could just piggyback off of that, because now that you say that, I'm thinking there's a way that if something were to happen, Paul Heyman can actually become the 24/7 champion as well by just by some crazy shenanigans and whatnot. There's just so many directions that could be taken into, and it's just, I just wish WWE would just pull the trigger. But you got to remember too, Brock Lesnar's one of those guys. He's not going to do anything that he doesn't want to do.
Yeah, exactly. He's really got them in a corner as well. He really has got them in a corner, because due to the fact that their ratings are so low, that when he comes, he does boost ratings.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's a guaranteed rating draw, and I've on the wrestling community, which I tend to just keep one eye on. I don't really like to stay involved with the whole community, because for the most part it's very, very toxic. Let's be completely honest right now. But I do keep an eye out on the wrestling community, and they can, for all the things that they'll say. But everything, when it comes down to like the old timers, some people like Goldberg or Brock Lesnar, all the part timers, and The Rock when he came back and whatnot. The point is, we just can't talk about it, or we can't watch when the old guys come back, because that's what WWE is drawing their ratings on. So the second that Bill Goldberg walks out on Monday Night Raw at the end of Legends Night, there's probably another 700,000 to 800,000 people that are like, "Oh my God, Goldberg's on TV. Let's check him out."
Yeah, I think that's. The fact you come out and Goldberg has got to be one of the worst promo guys I've ever seen.
And it's sad, because we talked about the invasion angle, and there was no bigger Goldberg fan growing up than me. I could not get enough of Bill Goldberg. He was the man, the most intense wrestler I've ever seen, probably still up to this point.
Yeah.
But going back to him beating the Fiend in Saudi Arabia, that's when I was just like, this is not good. This is terrible. You can't bury all these great talents. And it even goes before that, when he became the Universal Champion the first time.
What about, we're talking about how bad the product is currently. What about the Hell in the Cell with Seth Rollins and the Fiend? Talk about, you're talking about...
And something that everybody seems to forget as well, that was the second year in a row that the main event is a Hell in a Cell match, and it ends in a no contest or a disqualification. The year prior to that, there was a Hell in a Cell match where Brock Lesnar came back and ripped the door off and beat everybody that was in the cell. I can't remember the match off the top of my head, but the match just ended. That was it. That was the end of the show. We're like, what the heck? What the hell is going on here? And then the following year, WWE was just like, hold my beer. Let's make this even worse than last year.
I really do think that that's what they're doing as well, the whole hold my beer. They've got so many potential things that it can do. I was seeing with the Hurt Business as well, like
yes.
before, of just saving it, just little things like they've got so many wrestling shows now, it's getting ridiculous. However, they've got the Cruiserweight Championship. Why not give that Cedric Alexander from the Hurt Business? They could really build that up. The reason that it didn't really fly before, because they was making lots of new stars, which they needed to do anyway. But they wasn't going against people of distinguished names. And when they was, you know, the high names was winning. I mean, you've got Enzo, who won straight away. But I know, you had Neville.
Oh, Enzo Amore.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Enzo was, as bad of a wrestler he was
Amazing on the mic.
Amazing as a promo guy. Amazing.
I couldn't stand Big Cass. I don't understand why everyone's like they're going to push him to the moon. I never get them wrestlers who don't have a finisher. They only have like three movesets, and then that's it. When we see someone like Mr.
Wow, that's wild, because I never even thought about that ever, because I can't even tell you what his finishing move was.
Was it like the elbow drop or something, or like the big boot? I don't know. It's generic.
I feel like it was both of those. I feel like it was like a combination of both of those moves.
Yeah, it was just when they're that tall, they're like, you're really tall. We'll give you a side slam because you're tall. That will be a good finisher. You know, unless if you're Charlotte Flair, who's got like 12 finishers.
Yeah, that's wow. She has like that natural selection, the figure 8
spear. She had the spear for a bit as well.
Oh my goodness! I forgot about the spear. You're right.
I'm sure she had some missions. Oh yeah, she's got the figure 8. You just said that, the figure 8, natural selection, spear. There's a few.
Yeah, right. Definitely. Like that's insane. I completely forgot about that.
So currently, even though we love the Rumble, I mean, I know who's going against Reigns. I forgot.
Kevin Owens. He's actually. Wow. It's going to be a last man standing match.
I really want to be positive. I'm really trying to be positive. I don't want me to come on to our first podcast and just moan. That'd be ridiculous. But
especially with the best storyline in WWE is the head of the table is Roman Reigns. That's in between Raw and SmackDown. I can't think of the best storylines and the best wrestling matches have been with Roman Reigns.
I love the pop-up powerbomb. I have no idea why they changed that.
Actually, the only reason why I think he used the pop-up powerbomb to begin with is because his finishing move on the Indies he can't do in WWE. Do you know what he used as a finish in? Oh no! Oh, so he did a package pile driver for his finishing move before he got signed.
Yeah, I have seen it. Yeah, no, that's sweet. I love that. No, I have seen that. That looks great. That move. That whole anti-pile driver though, and it's done correctly. I don't really understand the issue because
I kind of get it because it's you're really not trying to hurt anybody, and with an actual pile driver, your chances of actually landing on somebody's on the crown of their head is much higher than any other move you can ever do. And that's including a Canadian destroyer somehow.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how that's even possible, but it's somehow a Canadian destroyer is safer than a normal pile driver.
Well, we was talking the other day when we were first obviously met, and we was talking about how moves, I believe anyway, should be saved for certain times, and how I think the dive, when they're going from inside the ring and then they're jumping from the outside, and how that is. It's a dying thing because you've seen it every single match. It's like the DDT that used to be finisher, but then again, so did the drop kick. When we've talked about how it's evolved, the whole wrestling moveset, but the whole dive. Like I say, if you're doing a dive from inside to outside the ring, it should look like at least Big E's dive. That guy looks like he's going to break his neck. The whole thing
he looks like he's going to kill himself every single time he does it.
But and we all like, and I believe you say, we want to keep wrestlers safe. That's the main thing. But at the same time, we really, as an audience, want to be entertained, and you need to save the power drivers and the dive to the outside for the pay-per-view. You've seen it when the commentator goes, he doesn't know what to do anymore. He's done his finisher 17 times. What's he going to do again? He's going to go for it for the 18th time. Instead of just doing these ridiculous, that's what New Japan's got over, the WWE. It's where the whole thing of he doesn't know what to do to break him, so he's doing ridiculous things. He's not getting a toolbox and putting it on top of him to get disqualified. That's ridiculous. But
yeah, it's unbelievable. But with the whole New Japan style though, like it's hard to say with like what's better, because New Japan they don't pull any type of punches. Like they're because you got to remember in Japan the media looks at professional wrestling as if it was sport.
Yeah.
So everybody in Japan is a very snug type of wrestling style, and I think that being the crop from NXT and now in AEW, a lot of people went through Japan and went through that style, and they're bringing it over to the United States. Like people like AJ Styles, who is, when he was in New Japan, he was the top guy. Yeah. He was the man, the best. And honestly, until that man retires, in my opinion, he's the best professional wrestler on the planet.
AJ, I can remember not hearing of him before, obviously, the Rumble. And when he come on, I just thought, oh my God, this guy. And then I started looking into other products, and then Samoa Joe, and then and I just thought, wow, because you get told these indie guys are just the back garden wrestlers, but it's changed so much. It's beyond anything that you've ever seen now. You see all these movesets you didn't think possible. My only problem was, like I was going to refer back to, the whole dive on someone. You shouldn't have your arms out and hands out trying to catch somebody.
Yeah, or like especially if there's like a big dive, like where there's like more than like 3 or 4 people on the ground, and it literally looks like they're like all drunk and just trying to hold each other up from falling over.
Oh, just don't do it. Just don't do that spot. That's all I ask you. It's when you see them wrestlers getting split apart, you must have seen it. There's 10 guys. No, there's a whole locker room. There's like 40 people in the ring. They'll keep them, Braun Strowman away from Brock Lesnar, right in one corner. And then they're just like fighting between each other. And then they're jumping one and then jumping the next. I hate them spots because I just can't. I just think you're telling me the 40 guys can't get, and I understand, one person away, just one. I just like, and then they jump out from the ring to all of and then they all fall down. I hate them spots. Just keep it simple.
The spot that just I remember clearly as day from what you're explaining is it was WrestleMania 25. It was one of the Money in the Bank matches, and it was a spot where Shelton Benjamin was on top of a giant ladder on the entrance ramp, and all the guys are fighting. There must have been 7, 8 different guys, and I remember Shelton Benjamin doing the dive, and everybody gets taken out. He did a front flip actually on top of everybody, and I remember they showed the replay of that spot, and Kane, who is about, I'm going to guess about maybe a foot and a half next to the pile, who's just there. He doesn't even come within 4 feet of Shelton Benjamin's body, and he just tumbles over like what?
Kane, brutal Kane as well.
I'm just, and every time, and when you're talking about that, like the dive spots, that's the first memory that pops up into my head.
It's yeah.
Who would you since you have that that topic still in mind, who would you say are the culprits of that? Like, who would you say are the wrestlers that are guilty of that type of?
You're gonna make me say it. The worst people currently, see, I don't. It's hard because we've discussed this prior, but with the indies and everything, you know, there's a lot of people in AEW who do it. You know, like I think Bucks are bad for doing it as well. But again, it's no gimmick. So, you know, it's either they just do it and nobody else does it, or, I mean, you can't tell them to train to do it properly.
Right.
You know, you can't stop it. But the mainly people who's guilty of it is anyone who's got a big faction. So, for instance, I'll tell you who's the worst prior. Ricochet.
As much as I love Ricochet, I could not agree anymore. Like he's the when you think of big dives, I 100% think of Ricochet.
And then you think, I mean, Retribution as well. You know, you could easily fix that group without even trying. You really could. You just make them evil.
They were. I remember when they first started, you know, terrorizing and destroying things. I was like, oh, this is good. This is something different. They can do this. It was up until they got those ridiculous see-through masks, and you could tell who the hell is. You could tell Dominic Dijakovic is right in front. You could tell that Mia Yim with the blue hair is right there. You could tell that Shane Thorne is in the back, and you could tell that Dio Madden is there as well.
And they've got names as if when I was a kid, me and my mate started wrestling, and we wanted to be called Slicer.
What an amazing what an amazing name! That is amazing.
And I literally thought, this is what I would be at 6-7 years old, thinking of names. Isn't one called
Slapjack, T-Bar, Mace? I can't remember the other ones. And then
you're telling me they've just got like little kids in a party and just gone, right, brainstorming, kids. What do you reckon these names should be? Mace. Yeah, that's what it is.
And I'm sure Triple H is just in the background, is like, damn it, Vince, come on already. This is terrible. But when you're,
it's hard because anything that bad happens is Vince's fault, and anything that's good is Triple H's. They need to stop with the rioting stuff. However, they've backed themselves in a corner because they've gone too corporate now. It's way too corporate, you know. When before it was, they had a bit of leniency.
But I feel like you could still be that corporate machine and still produce a good wrestling show. I don't think that is too hard to ask, because in my opinion, one of the last real good times to be a wrestling fan is when CM Punk dropped his pipe bomb. And you know, you could say what you want about, you know, CM Punk, but in 2011 there was no bigger wrestler in the world at that time than CM Punk. And as corporate as WWE is, I couldn't think of anybody more not corporate than CM Punk. And I think what CM Punk was doing during that time was just amazing, because he just said what was on his mind. And there just needs to be someone or something that needs to happen similar to the extent of the boom that those couple years were in the early 2010s, that people started to come back and watch it again.
I don't think it's a problem, the top of the card. I don't think the top of the card, apart from Oldberg at the moment.
Yeah.
You know. But, you know, you look at Roman Reigns, you look at, you know, Drew. I think it's the rest. I think it's the middle of the card and the bottom of the card that suffers so much. The fact that they still keep pushing people like Natalya is beyond anything. You know, when I say corporate, I mean that. I mean, when you see her talking, doing a promo, a little bit of me dies inside every single time I listen.
Now, is it because, like, do you expect more from her family lineage, or do you just not?
No, it's just so animated. It's like you can tell she probably says to her friends, I've gone to acting classes and this is what we do, and she performs it, and it's always over exaggerated, and none of it feels real, And I mean, bless Carmella, she always does well with whatever rubbish she's given. She's literally Emelina right now.
Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely correct. I did not. Yeah, that's spot on, and that's something I completely forgot about as well.
It's the whole thing of we want to push women, but we want to treat them right. We want to treat them equal, but then they give them nothing to work with. But at the same time, the guys are the same as well. Like we were saying before, which I'd love to do a different segment, how to fix people like Mojo Rawley. They've got probably the biggest roster ever, and they probably still use the same 12 people, 20 people every single show. And they're in the back week in, week out, because when they do them ridiculous promo sections, they're always in the back and they come out and they split people up. The fact that they've got Apollo Crews and he needs to turn. Can you imagine if they got Apollo Crews as part of Retribution? Retribution should be something like Retribution should be that they had their chance and then they was forgotten, and now they're going to make people pay, and they want to get the belts, and then they could start fighting with the Hurt Business, and they did that before, and the Hurt Business just destroyed them. So they need to evolve, and they need to evolve hard
and
the
quick
best
too.
The best times of my personal was Nation of Domination versus DX versus the Hart Foundation. So many different matches,
so many different people that are involved as well, and I completely understand. I completely understand what you're saying with the giant roster that WWE has. You would think there would be. I think they're trying to, make a big deal now with factions, but I think there's something they might need another one. Maybe start another women's faction. Maybe.
Jesus, don't start that, Rich, man. Can you imagine a good women's faction? Because every time they start one, they seem to dominate straight away and then stop. Can you remember with the Riot
Squad?
Yep, they come in, and that was a really good angle to start off with. And then they just turn into like a joke.
Which is very sad because I can't think of the world of Ruby Riott. And she, as I'll admit this, she's not very nice to look at per se, but I can't think of a very phenomenal wrestler and somebody that you could believe that could win any match that she's in.
But when we talk about looks and everything, it shouldn't be about that anymore. But then again, if you've got another guy, then he's a heel, and if he's not a heel, then he's a comedy character. You've got to look like Roman Reigns if you want to get to the top now. There's none of this Stone Cold Steve Austin, it doesn't. You've got to have a certain look to you. I believe anyway.
But with everybody, you could look whatever you want, and hopefully you can get over. Like, it's as when it comes down to with another group and whatnot. I personally love the Hurt Business. Because you got to think about it. If MVP doesn't come back to WWE, what's Shelton Benjamin doing?
I thought that.
What's Cedric Alexander going to be doing? He's just going to be floundering in 205 Live and in the cruiserweight division.
He was Ricochet before. Ricochet when he got that United States Championship, and Aleister Black as well. Can you imagine if Aleister Black or Nikki Cross? They actually, you could make them a thing. What happened to getting two guys? I mean, I'm just trying to think. Look at the lucha side of it as well.
The Lucha House Party. I think their Grand Metalik is amazing. He's so good, and it's just they do nothing. They do nothing with these guys, and it's just how can you have so many talented people doing next to nothing? Like that's wasting the WWE's money and time and investment. Like I don't get it.
I remember watching, and I don't know if you can, Kalisto and was it the Lucha Dragons? What was that?
So yeah, it was Kalisto and Sin Cara. They were the Lucha Dragons in NXT.
And when they come up and he did that spot off the ladder against the Usos?
Oh yes, yeah, he did a Selena Del Sol from the top of the ladder, and
you're telling me that he can't do that with Grand Metalik?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't imagine why they can't do it. You know,
and then you chuck someone like Cedric Alexander, and you just give him the title, that cruiserweight, and then every time you start Raw or SmackDown, you don't do a 25 to 30 minute promo with people being interrupted all the time. You're starting out like WCW did.
It's just
when it first started, and it was a cruiserweight match. Bang, bang, bang. Start. That's how they should start it.
I couldn't agree more. Like, if you want to do a promo, like to start the show, that's fine. But don't start off with a promo every single Monday night, and then 15-20 minutes goes by. Somebody will come out and interrupt them, and have another verbal battle for the next 5 minutes, and somebody will make a match between the two. Like that's the same formula they've been doing for years, and it's very stale and very boring and predictable.
It's the whole. I can remember when they started the authority angle, and that's when they lost so many viewers. They must have lost so many.
But I get why they were doing it, because they were going back to what made their money back as a heel authority groups, and the authority was exactly what that was, and it did a lot of good per se, but it did way more bad than it did any good. You know what I mean?
But on the ups, let's talk about the ups. You've got the Hurt business that hopefully they don't split them up, because like you were saying before they can split them up now. You can have Shelton versus Cedric, but what's that? That's going to last like a couple of months, and then they'll go back doing nothing again. They really should keep them guys together, unless if one of them's injured. We don't know anything about that. Alternatively, they should just keep them anyway, and then talk about what we do. Bring another faction in. Keep that dominant as well. Because I tell you something, that United States title actually looks really good compared to the Intercontinental.
Yeah, I like the design of both titles, honestly, but I just thought of something else as well. If you want to make the Hurt business important, you got to bring in Undisputed Era. Like, can you imagine some of these matches? Like, can you imagine the 4-on-4 match between Undisputed Era and the Hurt business? It'd be phenomenal.
But the problem is that they would come in and Undisputed Era would just roll over them, because that's what WWE do. They come in, and if they did it properly and a slow build, then it'd be great. It'd be fantastic. I just don't want them to come in and roll over them, because they tend to get new stars in, and then look what they've done to Dolph Ziggler now.
Yeah, Dolph has always been, but Dolph's has been the guy as well. He's been world champion multiple times. In as good as a wrestler Dolph is, I'm kind of over him, and I think he's still doing a tag team with Bobby Roode, correct?
Yeah, and I think they're actually fighting for the titles as well, are they not?
Oh my God, you're right, because I haven't watched SmackDown in a couple weeks, so I'm a little...
You'll read anything, it's exactly the same. When we was talking before about people doing repeat spots, You know, it's either the same matches. And we talk about people who do multiple finishes as well. You know, we talk about the dive on the outside and how that should stop. We also saying how I believe that people should stop doing the kick out, you know, especially on AEW, where they're doing the same, you know, finishes, and they need to talk to each other. You know, hey guys, we're doing it in our match. Can you not do it exactly the same match? Because I think it just takes something off. It only should be left for Manias and Rumbles, you know, not on a Monday night house show.
Right, definitely. Yeah, there just needs to be something to where that, like you said, in AEW, a lot of people will do those dives, but there needs to be some sort of individuality when it comes down to doing the dives as well. You know what I mean? Like whenever I think of people doing big dives in AEW, somebody like Jack Evans that just pops into my head, and like he actually might be worse than Ricochet, to be quite honest with you, when it comes down to the dives.
Really?
Yeah, and Jack Evans is somebody I've heard of, you know, years prior, and I knew he was he had a really good thing going in Mexico before he came back to the United States for AEW. But yeah, he's just been the same flippy dude for the last 20 years, and it's like, okay, cool, but what else can you do? You know?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. It's like when Neville was doing the flippy, and then he started doing submissions. You know, you're going against people your own weight. Whilst we love doing all the flips and everything, just show us something else that you've got.
I just think it's funny that you still call every time I hear Neville, it's just like, oh, what a failed thing. But then when I see him as Pac, he's exactly what he is, the bastard. You know?
Yeah, man. But the Pac is great. You know. How is he doing in AEW Pac?
So I guess he's going to be. They're going to set up a big match between him and Eddie Kingston, because with Pac being gone for all those months, being, I guess, isolated in the UK, he couldn't make any of the AEW tapings. So Kenny Kingston basically took over the group that he was with, the Lucha Brothers. And when Pac finally returned to AEW, he started to make a feud with Eddie Kingston, trying to, telling them that these are my guys, that this, that, and the other. And that's another guy too, Eddie Kingston, who is not that great in the ring per se, but man, he can cut a promo that is the most believable type of promo anywhere in the whole world. Like, when Eddie Kingston talks, I listen to what he has to say, and I believe every word that he says.
That's what I'm looking for, right? I mean, regarding this Rumble, who's going to win it?
Well, I think that the women's Rumble, I think they're going to set up Charlotte and Asuka again.
I hope they don't, but they will, right?
I don't want that to happen. What I think they should do is throw out a complete wild card to have the women win the Royal Rumble. And I think that the winner of the women's Rumble is going to be Lana.
Well, I mean, this is what I was trying to talk about earlier in regard of getting people who's kind of like half serious in a joke, and just stop. I mean, if they're not someone in NXT, imagine the first NXT winner.
You think that's going to be Rhea Ripley?
I'd hope it would be, but I don't think they'll do that.
Well, that's the big rumor right now, is that she's going to make her debut on the Royal Rumble, and from there, I'm not sure if she's going to go to either Raw or SmackDown. I think if you're going to do something like that, you might as well just give her the big push right away, because you got to remember, she has a WrestleMania match already under her belt.
Yeah, with Charlotte. Yeah.
And honestly, I couldn't think of a better final two is Rhea Ripley and Charlotte, and having Rhea Ripley win the Rumble.
And Rhea Ripley go over as well.
And for the men's side, see, the men's a little harder for me to because my first thought when I think of the Rumble this year, who's going to win? I think of Daniel Bryan.
Not who you want to win. That's a totally different question. Who's going to win? You know.
But who do I have no idea who they think they're going to win. Honestly,
because what I want to win is Keith Lee. He should win it. You know?
Yes, he should. He's if there's any guy who needs a giant win on the main roster, it's got to be Keith Lee.
No shenanigans, pure, straight, clean win. You know,
I mean, I think he really only has one true clean victory, and that was against Randy Orton, correct?
Yeah.
And this guy, I remember talking to an old coworker of mine about Keith Lee, and I was just like, this guy is the real deal. This guy needs to be signed, to NXT before, obviously before he got signed. And then a month later, there he is, and I'm like, yes, you can't go wrong with Keith Lee. And I think that with everything going on with his story and whatnot, they're building something huge for him. Now, when is that going to happen? Your guess is as good as mine.
Do you think it's his year though, or do you think it'll be somebody else? Do you reckon it'll be another Randy Orton versus Drew? I mean, that was okay.
Well,
we talked about underrated feuds before when we were talking about, if you remember, the Sheamus versus Cesaro 7 out of 10. That's what they should be focusing their mid card on right now. Things like that.
Yeah, I think. So, you think a best of series with Keith Lee that would help him raise his stock up, possibly? Or
yeah, 100%. Against but you've got to put him against someone who's potentially worthy, like Keith Lee versus Shinsuke.
Oh man, or Keith Lee versus AJ Styles. You need something.
AJ, yeah, 100%.
Or even if you don't want to, push Keith Lee to the moon, that's probably another guy to feud with Bobby Lashley over the United States title.
There you go. And we're just talking then, you've got Shinsuke, you've got Cesaro, you've got Keith Lee. I hardly see these guys face each other. You've got AJ in there as well. I mean, if you had Sami Zayn, but the NXT Sami Zayn, the one that never gives up.
And as good as that character was for Sami Zayn, I love him even more as this annoying douchebag that's like, I'm better than you and I'm the best Intercontinental Champion ever. And it for some reason it just seems like that it's so easy for him to be an idiot. And I'm sure he's not an idiot at all. I'm sure he's a very intelligent human being. But you could just tell that it just looks so natural to him to act the way that he is. You know what I mean?
I want them shenanigans. I just don't want them near the Intercontinental. The Intercontinental for me is basically, the title you go for before you go for the big
Correct.
one.
And
it's a free run. I think they should bring back the European Championship for something like this. For the Sami, when we talk about William Regal with the European Championship, and he did all that silly stuff as well previously, and it made him look even better. I think that's it. We're not near the Intercontinental. That should only be for serious stuff. I think anyway,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If I really want to just go on my fanboy strain real quick about who should win the Royal Rumble, Cesaro. If there's anybody who deserves a main event push in WWE, it's Cesaro.
But Vince doesn't like him. That's the issue.
And
He doesn't
I
get
don't
it.
understand why. It's so mind blowing to me that you have you got a guy that looks the part. You have a guy who
They make him dress as 007, my friend.
but you can make that work though. And Cesaro is good enough has enough talent in the world to make any type of gimmick work.
It's crazy to me that he goes down there and he rips his trousers off and he's got this crap music, and I just think if that wasn't Cesaro, he would be the next Mojo.
Oh,
Rawley.
But the reason why we don't say that is because we all know how amazing Cesaro is.
Imagine if he was just given a bit, just a tiny bit of help.
Oh,
He'd be up. He really would.
It's amazing to me that he hasn't even got an opportunity to wrestle it for any world title. Even if he just wrestled for somebody for 10 minutes for the title and lost, but that hasn't even happened.
It's phenomenal. I mean, we talk about these kind of things all the time. That has been, but don't worry. I can remember when they put what's her name? I mean, you look at the Charlotte currently, the Charlotte character when she's doing it with Lacey Evans, and there's got to be more. There's 3 hours in Raw. You could fit, Cesaro doing something serious in there. You have your silly characters and you have your good ones. And the whole thing of breaking tag teams up and putting random ones together is just ridiculous. I mean, what they do with Heavy Machinery now?
Is Tucker even still wrestling? Has he been on shows? As I haven't seen him.
No, I haven't seen anything like that. I can remember Scotty Too Hotty, Grandmaster Sexy Too Cool.
Oh, amazing talent.
And yeah, they can find nothing for them. It just, I don't get it. I really don't. But just before we wrap up, Royal Rumble predictions. Yes. So who's going to get the title first? Let's go for that. So KO versus Roman.
I don't think it's Roman Reigns' time to give up the belt yet. I think he's going to hold on to the belt till at least WrestleMania. And I think Kevin Owens is going to do something crazy. He's going to jump off of something. He's going to do something wild. I don't think it's going to be enough, though.
You think he's going to do a Shane McMahon? He could. He has done some big spots before, right?
Yeah, last year this past WrestleMania, he jumped off the sign at the Performance Center. Hold on. I will be right back in 20 seconds. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. I'm so sorry.
It's all right, mate. I let it.
It was either that or I pissed in my pants, and I chose to run to the toilet.
We've gone for the latter. So we've gone for Roman.
Yeah, Roman Reigns is. I think he's walking away, still the Universal Champion.
To Mania. So then we're going to Goldberg versus Drew. Now they're really pushing the fact that Drew, he hasn't lost when he's come back up. Goldberg. Do you think he's gonna beat Drew? I hope not. But
I hope not either. I hope Drew just Claymore kicks him about 7 times, and just hopefully Goldberg will just disintegrate into dust like a Thanos snap. And just, I hope for him to not be anywhere near the title picture. Do I think Vince is going to agree with that? Absolutely not. Do I think Vince is going to put the title on Goldberg again? Controversially, I'm going to say no. I think Drew walks away with the belt.
I'm going to have to disagree. I think Vince pays Goldberg way too much money. And I believe he's got a contract of 2 a year, which would be 2 fights a year, which would be Mania and the Rumble. And I think he's going to win it and then lose it at Mania. And I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. I really wrong. But I really can see Goldberg doing this.
So you got Goldberg winning, and I have Drew winning.
Yeah. Rumble.
Well, I think that. Well, there's the women's tag team title match as well. And
yeah, she's gonna get stabbed in the back anyway. So ridiculous. I mean,
who's going to do the stabbing?
A dad's going to come down. It's going to be that almighty roll-up win, isn't it? You know, it's just going to be something ridiculous. Or she's going to attack Asuka. I tell you what's going to happen. Damn it, I've already figured it out. Yeah, this is a massive bluff. Okay, so Lacey Evans is now going to tag with Charlotte, and all of that was a ruse. And then Lacey's going to come down, distract Asuka. They'll probably lose the tag belts, but then Charlotte will start attacking Asuka with Lacey in the corner as a new stepmom. Stepmom Evans.
That's just crazy enough to be believable.
I'm telling you. That's what's going to happen, isn't it?
It's
going to happen.
You know what? I think I'm with it. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Charlotte's going to be stepmama.
She's going to be stepdaughter, isn't she? She is. It's a ruse, isn't it? Oh, God.
But, like, the thing that's, like, even weirder about that whole storyline is, like, Lacey Evans is, wasn't she in a storyline that, like, turned her baby face, and then she was, like, a happily married woman and a loving mother, and now she's wanting to be with Ric Flair?
An old man. And you've got to be a heel if you like old men. Oh, that's the old man. Yeah.
Well, an old man is running the show, so I guess that's the only way that makes sense.
You know what'd be funny? What's that? If we got you with a young girl, and because you're a young girl, that'd be it. Yeah, it's all. Oh God, that's what's going to happen. I'm telling you now, that's what's going to happen. So we agree that Charlotte's going to be stepdaughter and stepmother Lacey then, yeah?
Yeah, I would say so, and that would just make Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax 2-time champions.
Is it them who's fighting for it? I don't even know who's fighting them. I really don't.
Yeah,
I thought it was somebody else.
No, it's Shayna. This is actually their rematch to when they lost the titles the first time.
Jesus Christ, this is going to be terrible. Next on the card. Do we know?
I think it's just the 2 Rumble matches.
Is there no tags on there? Or is that pre-show? Or
well, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for the match card for the Royal Rumble, and they only list 5 matches, and we just went through 3 of them, and the only 2 that are left are the Royal Rumble matches.
They tend to do things really at the last minute, though, don't they? You know?
Yeah.
So they could be like another 4 things, but we'll see. But apart from that, we'll see. We'll see, right?
Who do you want to win the Rumble matches? Because I personally have no idea. And as much as I would want certain people to win, I could pretty much guarantee they're not.
Yeah. I mean, currently, I believe who I want to win is who's going to win. Totally two separate things.
Right.
So I want R-Truth to win it for the exact reasons that we came out earlier.
Yes.
But, you know, in regard of who's going to win it, I want the Fiend to come back and win it.
Really?
If I'm thinking of like possibilities that I honestly think is going to happen, if they want to shock people, that's potentially what they're going to do. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if Randy Orton comes out and wins it. You know, just someone like that. I remember back in the day when anyone literally could win it. I remember people thinking that the Road Dogg could win it, you know, or just really random people. Whilst that probably would be terrible in the long term.
Well, another person that I think that we're both forgetting about, and I'm just remembering about it right now, is Edge is in the Royal Rumble this year. He's got a very good chance of winning it. But I think they're going to do a show probably with Randy, and they don't really need the title on him. If they do put it on him, I think that's just terrible. They shouldn't do that, you know. Put the belt on Randy?
Well, the only thing I can think of that's potentially going to happen is the Edge wins the Rumble. Goldberg beats Drew. Miz cashes in on Goldberg with shenanigans. And then Edge beats, you know, Miz. I can see that happening.
I see that's another thing, too. I thought he cashed in his Money in the Bank.
Yeah, he did, but he didn't do it. Morrison did it, so they gave it him back. You know, just that's going to happen, isn't it? You know, and the whole thing of the Rumble is that Miz and Morrison keep going up to him, going, you know, hey, you know, we're going to do all this before when you're in your match. So when you get took out by Goldberg or, you know, Drew attacks Goldberg, that they're going to cash in. We'll see. You know, but I think that's probably going to happen.
I wonder if we're going to see a double Kofi spot in the Men's Royal Rumble this year.
I don't think he's in. I think he's injured.
Oh, that's right. He broke his jaw. That's right. Because I was like, with John Morrison being back in the WWE, man, they could do some weird, crazy things with Kofi Kingston and John Morrison together.
I never realized how good John Morrison is. He's unbelievable.
Oh, he's another guy. When he got released from the WWE, made a killing on the Indies, and he proved to, you know, obviously to everybody back in WWE that he's somebody that they need to have on their team. Because I don't know if you ever watched or if you guys had Lucha Underground in the UK.
Yep.
Oh, you did? Awesome. And that was such a good show.
It was.
And Johnny Mundo was a big part of that show for a long time.
Well, he was in the WCPW, what I believe. You know, I'll have to double check that, but I'm sure he was on there.
Oh yeah, he was 100%. I think he was involved with the Battle Royal to try to win their world title. And
what we'll do is we'll save that for another episode.
Yeah.
And on that segue, Rich,
Jay, this has literally been a dream come true, and I just want to say that, you know, I thank you for just sending me a message and just saying you're serious about doing this. And I cannot thank you enough for just installing confidence in me, thinking that, you know, that I could do something like this. And it's a huge honor and a privilege to be able to do something like this with an amazing person like yourself.
Oh, you're too kind, my friend. You know, but at the same, what we can do is this is going to be different to all the other podcasts or, you know, reviews that people hear. We really want fans to get involved in this.
Yes, and I could not agree anymore. And if we ever make it big, I want to come back to this episode and be like, wow, we did this bad, this. I can't do in bathroom breaks for 30, 40 seconds. We could sit back and laugh and just realize that,
I won't even edit it out. I'll just leave the bathroom break in now.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Bathroom break needs to be left in.
Put some noises in the middle of it.
We gotta put some elevator music in there,
But on a serious note, once we've get a couple of viewers, if anyone wants to come on with me and Rich, and just talk ball, we'll be more than happy to.
And we don't even have to talk about pro wrestling. We could just talk about life. We could talk about things we're going through, our hobbies, or anything you want. We're all ears. We're all here for everybody. And I hope this becomes the greatest podcast of all time.
It will be. It'll be the biggest ball that anyone's never seen. And especially with the times we're going through at the moment, people need a little bit of joy.
And I must say, Jay, you've brought these last few days of talking with you and
talking track.
It's just amazing. It's been
until tomorrow.
What's that?
Is that until tomorrow?
Until tomorrow, we'll talk again, and hopefully we'll do about 50 more of these.
Exactly, my friend. Exactly. Peace out, all.
Have a great day. Thank you once again. Whoever's listening to this, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Anything you want to close out on, Jay?
No, I think we're good, my friend. I'm trying to think of a really good segment to leave on, and I've totally gone blank.
I think I got one.
Go on.
With everything going on in this world, we'll leave with something simple. Be kind to everybody, and kindness will come back to you way faster and way better than what you can ever do to anybody else.
That's nice, man.
All right.
Have a good evening.
You have a great day, man.
You too, brother.